everything in my life starts with me being a woman. And then all of a sudden everyone's asking, well, what is a woman? I think the music industry is just entirely captured. You either say that trans women are women or you're out. He fired me. He dropped me from the agency. And the revenue's gone as well. I haven't received a penny of that. I'm like sat there and I'm like, refresh, what's going on? Trying to log in. It goes, this artist does not exist.
I'd be on the floor.
This has happened to loads and loads of women in the music industry. I found myself with this story to tell in an industry that is well overdue a Me Too movement, but now I'm unable to tell it because I can't talk about my life as a woman without being told that I'm a bigot or I'm a transphobe or...
I have some sad and concerning news about this episode. In the days following the interview, Louise Distras was arrested and kept in custody for 5 hours, where she was quizzed over comments made on GB News, a TV station, about trans rights extremists. She faced a very difficult Christmas and is continuing to deal with trolls in the music industry. Now, I can't share further information about any police investigation, nor do I know much more, but this does add context to the conversation you're about to hear and watch, and this is extremely worrying with regards to the right to free speech and the protection of sex-based, gender-critical beliefs. Please offer her some supportive words in the comments.
When I was 16, it was during my first week in college. I'd just had enough, and I decided I'd rather be on the streets than spend another second in my house. And I ran away from home. And I found myself in a lot of dangerous situations with dangerous men who took advantage of me. And it was music, it was writing lyrics, poetry, playing my guitar. It's all I had, and that's what got me through those times. And looking back, I can see that those experiences left certain marks and wounds on me and left me with certain sensitivities and vulnerabilities, which left me wide open to being exploited by predatory pimps in the music industry later down the line. So it's those experiences which really are at the core of me, which are the foundation for why I feel so strongly about women's rights and freedom of speech. You know, I understand the importance of women's spaces and single-sex spaces because when I was homeless, I spent time in women's shelters, and to think about how vulnerable I was as a, you know, at that point in my life, you know, to have a man or a predatory man come into those spaces, it's like setting a fox among the chickens, you know. It's an absolute disaster zone. So when it came to, you know, me feeling exploited by these pimps and predators in the music industry, I've got a song on my new album called Truth in Your Lies, and it's got the facade of a love song, but it's actually about these men who try to veer lost women like myself into these brainwashed realms. And my new album, Beauty After Bruises, I, by the whims of the great magnet, found myself in a recording studio in San Francisco with Bruce Springsteen's producer, Ross Peterson. And this is going to sound really hippy-dippy, but when I got off the plane, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be at that moment in time. I felt like I'd been there before in a past life. It's quite hippy-dippy. And the recording studio, it was just off a street called Telegraph Avenue. Now, Telegraph Avenue is a place of great significance because that's where a lot of really important events happened in the summer of love in the 60s, a lot of protests. And San Francisco was known for being a place that teenage runaways went to. They basically dropped out of society, they went to San Francisco. And then when they got there, they were waiting to be greeted by these gurus and these preachers, philosophers, and everything, and every type of person you could imagine on every street corner. And there was these, weirdos, these gardeners, like Jim Jones and Charlie Manson, and their philosophy for attracting their followers, particularly their female followers. It was always, find the ones who are bent or cracked but not completely broken, you see. And it was around that time where the penny was starting to drop about the situation that I was in. So I was working with not even a legitimate record producer, someone who just kind of styled himself as one, like a kind of self-styled wannabe, like Harvey Weinstein type, who for almost a decade, I felt like he was controlling every single aspect of my life. My finances, isolated from my friends and family, everything. And so you can see how this is all kind of coming together and where the penny's starting to drop for me and everything's clicking in my mind. So came back from San Francisco, had this amazing spiritual experience there where I felt really dialed in creatively and intuitively, spiritually. Penny's starting to drop and I'm thinking, okay, I need to get away from this guy. And I tried to walk away from him. And then what happened was he and his friends, well, first of all, he blocked the completion of a release of my new album, Beauty After Bruises.
Wow.
And then together, him and his friends, they did like a really big smear campaign on me. And they put rumours around the industry and around the music scene that I was a drug addict, that I was on crack, and that I was doing crowdfunding campaigns to steal money from my fans to fund this alleged drug habit. And I don't do drugs. At the time, I didn't even drink or smoke cigarettes because I wanted to keep my head straight, and thank God I did.
Yeah.
And then along with all the usual crazy-making problematic tropes, And when the lockdown hit, I saw a window of opportunity to get away from this guy and get to safety. So I got my album files, and then that's what I did. Because I didn't know how long this window was going to be open for, you see. And then after that, I became really sick and I felt like I was losing my mind. So I went to the doctors and I said, look, I think I'm going crazy. And I spoke about what had been happening to me over the past few years, and they said, you're not crazy, you're traumatized. And they said, after what you've told us of everything that's happened to you over the past few years, it sounds to us like you've basically just got out of a cult.
Wow.
And they explained the boiling frog analogy to me, which is if you take a frog and you try and put it in a pan of boiling water, the frog's going to jump out because it knows it's going to die. But if you put the frog in a pan of cold water and slowly turn up the heat over a long time, you'll boil the frog alive. And that's how I was able to understand what was happening to me for so long. But my story isn't unique. I'm not the only one that this has happened to. This has happened to loads and loads of women in the music industry, and also in other creative industries as well. And when I came back to the music industry with this story inside of me, which I've wanted to tell for such a long time, and I've got these songs which are about my human condition and my adult human female condition, because everything in my life starts with me being a woman. And then all of a sudden everyone's asking, well, what is a woman? You know, we all know what a woman is. A woman's an adult human female. So I found myself with this story to tell in an industry that is well overdue a Me Too movement, but now I'm unable to tell it because I can't talk about my life as a woman without being told that I'm a bigot or I'm a transphobe or other such slurs they want to chuck at me.
How does that make you feel?
Nobody ever asked me that question. All those years of doing music interviews, talking to people, no one ever said to me, like, how are you? How do you feel? How does that make you feel? I don't know how it makes me feel. I feel like I haven't actually had chance to think, because since I said that in an interview in May, it's like it's just been a relentless onslaught. It's been one thing after the other. And I feel like my life's just become, it's like a game of whack-a-mole, you know. Every time I come up for air to breathe, it feels like that there's some weirdo like standing there with a big mallet waiting to smash my head back down. I ain't even had a chance to think about that.
I know. I can imagine a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, they might be reacting to you. Certainly, have reacted to me when I've spoken out with, I suppose, gender critical views or whatever, or just whatever it might be. And there seems to be an assumption that we think that all trans people might be awful or might attack women or whatever. When actually, I think it's more about the idea that biological men statistically are the ones who attack women, and that's why we have different spaces. So it's not. I mean, I'm part of that. Unfortunately, as a man, I have to. I don't mean that in like a look how great I am because I realize. But it's statistically true that, you know, my daughter. I don't have a daughter, but my daughter, my fiance, I would feel far safer if she were in a room not with men when she's getting changed, when she's in certain places where a much stronger individual who might want to do something to her could be. And it's sad that that's taken to mean, oh, we must think that trans people are more likely than anyone else to offend. It's men, biological men.
Yeah. I think where the penny started to drop for me in terms of the trans thing, it was about a year after I walked away from the music industry. My ex-guitar player, and he was well aware of everything that was happening to me before, but well, everyone knew what was going on, but nobody ever intervened, nobody ever said anything. So he, I'd not seen him for a really long time, and he'd got in this relationship with this man in a dress boyfriend who I'd never even met, and I don't know why they did it. I guess they just felt like they could kind of capitalise on my controversies, maybe get some engagement for their Facebook page or something. I don't know. But they did a story on me on social media as well. And they called me transphobic. And they were like bragging that they were going to report me to the police for hate crime. And that's what they did. They reported
What
me.
was the specific like transphobic thing you had allegedly done?
It was this story about me making fake accounts on the internet to troll them with transphobic hate.
And I presume that's not true.
No. So they reported the police, and then the police spent a few months like looking at my Twitter account, doing data requests, things like that, looking into it. They didn't find anything. The police said to them, okay, you're like, you know, you're giving her shit, you should just leave her alone, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely devastating to me, because it felt like an enormous betrayal from someone who I'd been very close to for many years, who really knew the truth about what had been going on and what happened to me as a kid. And it was around that time then that's when I really started to question what was going on with this trans issue, and it gave me the inclination that, hang on a minute, it really feels like that this is kind of a veil, or it's like an excuse for men to abuse women and to abuse the law, to abuse women, and to do it publicly and with impunity and get applauded for it at the same time.
Some of them, right? I mean, it might not be all trans people that are becoming trans just so they can bully women.
I don't know. I can't speak for them, can I?
No. Well, I wouldn't want to tar everyone with the same brush. I get what you say. It's something that I happen to believe as well, that a percentage, which we couldn't possibly know, of trans people are misogynistic and are able now to abuse women. We've seen that a lot with J.K. Rowling, for example, how she's been treated.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak from my experience, which is obviously that one there. And with the hundreds of comments that flood my social media pages every single day.
Do you think the music industry is particularly a difficult place to be honest and open about these things?
Yeah, I think the music industry is just entirely captured. It's completely monotheistic. It's just either it's just one way or no way at all. I mean, earlier this year, when I was receiving the threats, I contacted my booking agency, Midnight Mango, to ask me for help to keep me safe at my gigs. And again, you know, they know about everything that's been going on as well. And I got an email from the managing director, Matt Bartlett, and he didn't acknowledge that there was a risk to my safety at all. All he said look, our position as a company is clear. Trans women are women, and if you continue to publicly deny that trans women are women, then your position is going to have a detrimental effect on your career. That's what he said to me. Yeah.
Obviously, I don't even know where to start with it. I think they deny this, don't they? Do they deny this?
Yeah.
I should say that, just so that's said, that they deny this.
Yeah, they did. They did, because I was part of an article in the Daily Mail with 5 other women who'd been cancelled for sharing concerns about gender ideology. And obviously, the Daily Mail fact check everything, and it has to go through the lawyers, before it gets published. So the Daily Mail had seen the email exchanges between myself and the booking agency. Right. But obviously, for balance, they had to ask Midnight Mango, for comment. And yeah, Matt Bartlett did get back to the Daily Mail, and he denied he called them allegations. Mm-hmm. And so what happened was I posted a screenshot of his actual email on my Twitter page. I think that was like maybe a couple of weeks after I got deplatformed by Bandcamp. And then anyway, within a couple of hours of me posting that screenshot, Matt Bartlett emailed me and he fired me. He dropped me from the agency. And he said something about that I'm defaming his booking agency in order to fuel my transphobic agenda. And I just laughed at it. I'm like, first of all, my agenda was I was asking you for help to keep me safe at my gigs. Yeah. Because I'm a musician, I want to go out and play, And it wasn't just my safety from these activists who were targeting me. It was for the safety of the women who come to my gigs as well.
Yeah.
So, but just just did not acknowledge that there was a risk whatsoever. It was just, you either say that trans women are women or you're out. And I said to him, I said, look, you know, you're supposed to be neutral. All I'm asking is that you do your job and support my bookings. Let the ticket sales do the talking. Let the audience decide for themselves who they want to buy tickets to go see. And then I think I said to him something like, if I wanted moral guidance, I'd go see a priest, not my booking agent. But
yeah.
that's
If you
me,
want some
you know.
moral guidance, stop making a living taking percentages off of all these artists and screwing them over.
But that's exactly right, though, Andrew, because a lot of these industry types
Don't have a good reputation.
Well, they forget that it's artists and gig goers that are paying their wages.
Yeah.
And as an artist, like, I don't work for that booking agency. They work for me. I pay them paid them commission. And, you know, they don't get to dictate to audiences who they're allowed to listen to and who they're allowed to buy tickets to go see. It's the same thing with Bandcamp. I mean, I don't even know why I got deplatformed from Bandcamp.
What's Bandcamp for people who don't know?
Bandcamp, it's like Spotify or Amazon, but for independent musicians, you see. Before I got officially fired and I was put on Minority Step by my booking agent, I relied on Bandcamp to earn a living. So I would sell digital downloads on there, CDs, vinyls, stuff like that. And then they would get 15% commission, you know. So yeah, it was just like one day I just checked my Bandcamp page, and it had disappeared. My artist page disappeared, my entire discography, and there was some revenue. Now, it might not be a lot to some people, but it's a lot to an independent artist. You know, it makes a difference, especially in a cost of living crisis when you've got bills to pay. And the revenue's gone as well. I haven't received a penny of that.
Did they even tell you they were going to do that? No, nothing. It's just gone.
Yeah, it just disappeared into thin air.
And are you sure that's not like a mistake that's happened? That's because they don't agree with your views on gender critical stuff.
They didn't even give me a reason why. So I contacted them and asked them for a reason and asked them to pay me the flipping money they owe me.
Yeah.
And then there's Freedom in the Arts, which is a new organisation that's been set up by Denise Farmy and Rosie Kay. They've been supporting me. They published an open letter to Ethan Diamond, the CEO of Bandcamp, and asked him to reinstate my artist page and pay me my income. No reply. And then the Daily Mail reached out to him. No reply. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that GB News reached out to them as well as part of their fact checking, and they got no reply. This has also been raised with the Culture Secretary, and then, you know, Baroness Claire Fox has brought this up in this problem in the arts, this existential crisis in the arts. She's brought this up in Parliament as well and introduced freedom in the arts to her peers in Parliament. I don't know what the correct terminology is or whatever, but, you know, it's a problem. And I'm not the only one that this has happened to. There's artists in America as well. There's Bryson Gray, 5 Times August, Foundering. You know, it was just like they just went on their laptop one day and everything just completely disappeared. And they never got answers either. So I can't even say to people, oh, yeah, I did break the terms and conditions. Because I haven't been told. I can't even give anyone an answer, so...
Do you remember the feeling when you opened your page to find it wasn't there?
I was like, is this real? I was like, is this what I think it is? Have I been booted off? Like, what's going on? And I'm like sat there and I'm like, refresh, what's going on? Trying to log in. It goes, this artist does not exist.
If I woke up one day and my YouTube channel was gone because of my views or something, I don't even know what I'd be on the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people listening and viewing know what that means because they'll have their own businesses, lives, careers, families, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And when that disappears and so unjustly.
With some reviews of my new album as well, there was was a bunch of music websites that reviewed my new album earlier in the year and gave it really, really good reviews. And after the Daily Mail, the first Daily Mail article, the reviews disappeared as well.
What?
Um,
They've gone through it to scrub it. They can't just enjoy...
yeah.
What happened to the death of
Yeah.
the author? The Roland Barthes
Yeah.
idea of once it's out there, it's ours to enjoy the art and
Yeah.
not worry about who the author is.
Yeah.
Just mad. The thing is, I mean, there's this thing, trans women are women. Even if I did believe that, I don't know why it would cause me such consternation that somebody else doesn't believe that.
I know.
Unless you're so unsure deep down of your own conviction that other people not believing it makes you feel insecure, and you've got to... And that's why they don't even reply. It's like was it Bandcamp?
Bandcamp, yeah.
Bandcamp don't even reply.
Yeah.
Because they know they don't have anything to say.
That's right, yeah. Yeah. So instead they just block you out and it's like you never existed in the first place.
I'm pleased you told me the story about your upbringing, because this is another point that I've tried to make with regards to J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Because she was beaten within an inch of her life and left to die in the road. And I've mentioned that before, and people underneath in the comments just get angry and say, so what? Loads of women get beaten up. What's this got to do with anything? And I think it has everything to do with it. If you've seen what sometimes men can do to women. And it doesn't mean all men. People don't have to get their back up about it. But if you're a biological man, why should you think you're outside of that because you have a different identity or whatever? Like, I think I'm outside of it. I would never do that to a woman. But it doesn't mean that I can't understand why a woman wouldn't want to be with men in general. It's a huge population of men.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up and when I was a teenager, I was very, very uncomfortable in my own body. I absolutely hated myself. I hated my body. And because of some other stuff that happened when I was a kid, which I won't go into, but I was from an early age, I was very aware that I was being preyed upon, even when I was a child as well. So when I hit puberty, I was very ashamed of my body and scared to be in my body. And I was a tomboy, I cut off all my hair. I wore big baggy ripped jeans, big baggy Marilyn Manson t-shirts and loads of eyeliner. And I was just felt very unsafe and was just trying to escape myself, really. And I often imagine, like, if I was a teenage girl growing up now, and with everything I went through and how I felt in myself, and if I think I would have been prime fodder for being trans, really.
Social contagion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was bad enough before. I felt like I was conditioned to be prime cult fodder for what happened going into the music industry and all the woke stuff, do you know what I'm trying to say? But I mean, I'm 36, I remember when we didn't have the internet, thank God, but now with the internet and TikTok, it's very easy for that social contagion to spread, and for kids to disappear into that black mirror of their phones and become disconnected and disassociate from the world around them and have those seeds planted in their minds. It's it's awful. It's awful what's happening to young women as well. Whatever happened to just being a tomboy?
I think it seems like a backward step to me. And I've said this before, that I find it quite conservative, and people really get their backs up about that. How is this conservative? Because they just assume this must be because it's woke, it's progressive. But this idea that if you're a tomboy now, then there's something wrong with your body and it has to be cut off. That is like religious, that's far right religious stuff from the 60s, 50s. That's scary. And I've got loads of what I would call stereotypically, although it's, feminine traits I talk about a fair bit. I've got these little hands. I'm quite dainty, and I hate like how men in the changing room behave, all snotty and snorting and being all blah. And I'm very dainty and quite good. And I really like those sides of me. I wouldn't change them for anything. And I think my family and my fiance and everyone, I think they like those things. To think that if I were a child, that would make me have to start going, well, hang on, maybe I shouldn't have any of these bits and pieces. God, what might I have done to myself?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, see, the entertainment industry and the music industry is like a fresh patch of green grass to plant those seeds in kids' minds as well. I mean, I remember before lockdown, all of a sudden artists were all suddenly queer and non-binary, because it was cool.
Sam Smith.
Yeah. And now I see them all signposting their fans to Stonewall, and I find that really, it's really disturbing. It's like the music industry. I feel it's like it's become just another vessel for Big Pharma now.
Yeah, that's a concern.
Yeah.
Non-binary annoys me actually more than anything. I think it's an arrogance. It seems arrogant to me, unless I've misunderstood it, fundamentally misunderstood it, this idea that those people themselves have aspects of both or neither gender and they're different. It's like, what do you think the rest of us are? Like, they think that we're like these primeval, like bloke. I'm a bloke and I've got no thoughts. Oh, you're a woman and that's what they seem to think of us.
Yeah.
And we all like to think of ourselves as a bit more complicated and, and often we're not, but we feel like we are because we're the ones living inside our heads.
Yeah.
So this idea that I'm non-binary, I get to be like, I'm special and different in that sense. So I get to go and wear children's toys on my legs like Sam Smith did. Who is that for? I keep going on about that because it winds me up so much. Who is he aiming his sexy children things at? But he gets away with it because it's part of this whole movement at the moment.
And what kind of, you see, to me it just feels like such a napalming, narcissistic role to play. It's like, going around telling your fans how to think and who to vote for. It's like that's not being an artist. That's being a bureaucrat. That's being a propagandist to me, And I really don't like seeing these artists like how can they go to sleep at night knowing that they've pointed their fans in the direction of medical experiments and puberty blockers and mutilating themselves, and to be in for a life of pain and this mad Promethean venture that they're never going to be cut out for. It just doesn't. It's just absolutely awful. It really upsets me that music, something that's. It feels like music's become a weapon now. Like some kind of weapon for psychological warfare on people.
I suppose they believe they're helping these people to be their true selves or something like that, maybe wrongly, but that's what they must believe. And some people who transition are happier, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't seem like very happy people in the way that they treat me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting with what's happening to me because all I did was state biological fact, and that was months ago. It was just one thing. I've never threatened anyone. I've never gone after anybody. I've never harassed anybody. It's like just one thing that I said. And then when it came to the Daily Mail, I just said, look, if men want to claim to be women, then, as women, we're always going to put up a fight for our hard-won rights. Of course we are. It's just a no-brainer, really. It's just not rocket science. But I do feel like I'm really being punished for it.
What kind of thing is going on? What's your day-to-day life and how this is entering into it? It's
it's like, do you ever remember like going up the escalators in BHS and there being all those mirrors like above, below, side to side? It's like those infinity mirrors, like in a wacky warehouse.
Yeah.
It's like that, a bunch of mindless mirrors screaming and laughing on an endless loop. More mindless mirrors screaming into infinity.
You're definitely a songwriter.
And then just bashing my head in with a mallet onto the. That's what it feels like. Just screaming into the abyss, into the void. That's what it feels like. And it's just on a loop going.
Where were you getting shit from? Twitter? Or was it people sending you stuff or they're talking to you in real life?
Mostly online. It's mostly on social media. But it has spilled into real life, and it's taken a really weird twist where everything kind of came full circle for me. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen or spoken to my family in years and years and years. And how can I put this? Have you ever met anybody who's been cancelled by their own family?
Yes, but only because I've interviewed lots of people who've left cults, and their families in the cults have in a sense. I didn't think of it as cancelling, but they've cancelled them, excommunicated.
Yeah. Because it's interesting because the cancel culture stuff. It's like I can get mad around that. Like people calling me names all day on the internet and screaming at me into their mindless mirrors. It's just, it really doesn't bother me because I know what it is, you know. And as I said, you know, my attitude is the same now as what it's always been. I'm just like, here's my music. If you don't like it, you can naff off. But this cancel culture thing, it's like, like I know what I'm trying to say is like I know what cancel culture is, and this is what I think it is anyway. Because a lot of people, I think there's a debate going about left versus right, isn't there? And you mentioned that earlier. Whereas for me, I look at cancel culture as being like I think it's attempted murder, is what it is, and I think it's people who are so psychologically and spiritually bankrupt that they welcome this totalitarianism with open arms to fill the void. That's how I see these people. And I see them as people who will do and say anything to project their fears and anxieties onto other people, you know, whether that's me or someone else, and then they'll move on to someone else, you know. And I think that, you know, because they're very cowardly in the way that they do it, you know, it's like as if they haven't got the balls to just like actually just go out and straight up kill somebody, you know. Yeah. So what they do is that, you know, they destroy their reputation. Yeah. They take away their income, their roof, their food. You know, I often get told that I should starve and that I should be out on the street, or I should be in prison, or I should be dead, you know, because that's what I deserve, because that's the consequences of my actions, you know. These people would literally happily see you on the street.
It's not cancel culture, it's consequence culture, they say.
Yeah, that's what they say, yeah.
For saying one thing in an article, you just get death threats. The idea, and we were talking about this off camera before, that cancel culture doesn't exist because J.K. Rowling's doing really well, Louis C.K. is doing fine, or whatever, like, is a complete misunderstanding of what cancel culture is. Cancel culture affects people like me and you, or in fact people you've not heard of, people because the point was they were cancelled, so you didn't hear from them, and they have no recourse, they have nowhere to go. Nobody feels sorry for them, and even if you do, you can't help them because there's 100 others who have, I've had loads of people message me saying, can you help? And they don't have any kind of, you and I are lucky that we have public whatever. These are just people at work who said the wrong joke, said the wrong thing. They lost their jobs. Now they're struggling to put food on the table. That's cancel culture. And what's happening to you at the moment, things that have happened to me, just for talking about the gender critical stuff, it almost ruined part of my previous channel.
Yeah.
But also, as part of the whole woke thing, I wasn't allowed to be on TV anymore because I'm a white man. So even before the rest of that, I was told over and over, you can't be the presenter of these TV shows anymore. That's why I started a YouTube channel, and luckily it's gone all right. But for every one of me, there's 100 people who got cancelled in that way and weren't able to continue. And you don't know their names. We don't know their names.
And for every one of us that gets cancelled, there must be 100 or 1,000 more of us that are too scared to say something because they know what will happen to them if they do. So they live in that walking on eggshells, one breath away from obliteration, live in fear of emotional and financial ruin, for doing or saying the wrong thing. But they don't know what that goalpost is or what that line is until somebody's decided that they've crossed it. And that's what cancel culture is as well. It's this, it's like they expect us to just unconsciously accept what they're giving to us. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
What's so sad about it is you're speaking about the music industry, which was once a counterculture thing. The whole idea was it was like this revolutionary, use music to fight against the mainstream. And now they're siding with these big corporate organizations and calling themselves left wing. Like, how does that even make sense? I don't even know. What were you, are you able to tell me what you were telling me before about when you were asked about politicians?
God, was this 2017? So I was doing an interview with like a lefty, protesty kind of publication. I can't even remember what the name was. I've got it in my emails, so I'll have to double check. And I was talking about, I was just talking about how the music industry is shrinking. A lot of cuts are being made to, to welfare. The music venues are closing down. The student fees are going up. It feels like young people don't really have a voice. I think it was just stuff like that. Women's rights, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and I did say, I said I don't like politicians. I think they're all same face, different mask. I just don't like them.
Yeah. Period.
That's it. And then they said, well, we want you to say that you're going to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. And my publicist at the time, he emailed me. He goes, this is what they're saying. And I'm like looking for it. I'm like, okay, this is really weird. And then they sent another email saying, this is what we'd like Louise to say. And here's some suggestions for quotes to put in.
It's like 1984.
Interview. Yeah. Yeah, they were suggesting quotes to add in. And then I said to my publicist, I just says, I'm not doing that. No, tell them to naff off. They can't tell me what to say.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And then, that's what he went back with. And they just dropped the interview. So, but with me and the sort of person I am, it's like if someone tells me not to do something, I'll just do it and say it 10 times louder because that's just what I'm like. So I got I had the transcript of the interview anyway from typing up, so I just published it myself on my own website, and I went, this is what they don't want me to say. And I was like, the irony that I'm talking about, being a young woman in my 20s at the time, I think, and I'm talking about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and what's happening in the arts. We've got a problem in the arts, the industry's shrinking. Oh no! Look, I've been banned.
The hypocrisy is extraordinary.
Yeah,
especially because Jeremy Corbyn, for non-Brits, he's a left-wing leader, very far left for Labour. He was a Labour leader, and at one point it looked like he was actually going to rule the country, which a lot of people were very concerned about. And he's seen as like the alternative, amazing, you know, and what's really going on is an entire huge industry is supporting him and putting him forward. And they sort of threw him out at like Glastonbury, didn't they? The festival. I think it was Glastonbury.
I played at Glastonbury that year when he did that speech.
And he's like out there doing speeches at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
He's like this old fuddy-duddy, like the last thing music should be about is this guy.
Yeah.
Who, what we now know is like enthralled to the corporations. And yet he somehow has gotten away with marketing himself as like the outsider.
Yeah.
Who's been in politics his whole life. And he's got a wacky brother who believes in all sorts of conspiracies.
There's a lot of blokes like that in the music industry. Like Billy Bragg. Well, Billy Bragg is like a weird doppelganger of Jeremy Corbyn anyway. But, you know, and like...
Who's he from like because is he Irish, English?
No, he's from Barking, isn't he?
Is he from, where's Barking?
It's down south.
So he's English. But so he's what is he, folks? What kind of music was...
Well, he's a bit protesty, isn't he?
Protesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, there's loads of them like that, and they're all these like weird old guys that like make themselves busy around young artists and particularly young women artists as well.
It's a bit creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy.
Yeah. There's this type of man as well. I've encountered them. I remember doing a documentary about abortion in Argentina. And there's that type of guy who's like the feminist guy. And I'd go and ask women like what they thought about a certain aspect. And the men would always pipe in and sort of try and explain it over the women's voices. It's a particular kind of feminist. I just don't trust those guys at all. Billy Bragg, he loved you.
Yeah,
and
he did, yeah.
He said, maybe we'd have done better at Eurovision if Louise Distras had been our entry. The left-wing musician Billy Bragg, who invited you to perform at Glastonbury. Eurovision's a weird. I guess he was joking because that's a bit Disney, isn't it, for like punk? Did
you see what he said about me recently?
What does he say recently?
Well, this is the story, right? So, I mean, when I actually, I should give better context here because if people haven't heard of Billy Bragg, I suppose they would need to know that he built a name for himself around the miners' strike in the 80s, didn't he?
Yeah.
So when I first started out as a singer-songwriter, solo artist, again, same then as what it is now. It's like have guitar, will travel, I'll just play anywhere and everywhere to anyone who wants to listen. And I played at this like crappy workers' festival in Sheffield, and it was there that I met Anne Scargill. And Anne Scargill was one of the founders of the Women Against Pit Closure movement in the 80s. And she told me about what it was like for women in the miners' strike and how the miners' strike empowered women through organising rallies and soup kitchens, and a lot of these women went on to higher education as well. And she said to me about, you know, before the miners' strike, you know, the husbands would come home and expect their tea on table. After the miners' strike, the husbands would come home and say to their wives, you know, come on, make me some tea. And then wives would go, no, piss off and make it yourself, you see.
Yeah.
So that's a big shift in attitudes, isn't it? And she told me about this song that the women used to sing on the picket lines, and it's called Women of the Working Class. And it's a really brilliant song. And she said to me, she says, look, you know, women, we need our songs too. It's really important. We have our songs. She said, so you should write a song for women. And I went away and I thought about it, and then that's what I did. And I released my first single called The Hand You Hold on International Women's Day. And in the chorus, it says, what we look like means more to you than what we say and what we do. And for some reason, Billy Bragg really liked that song. And that's why he invited me to play on his stage at Glastonbury twice. Now, when after that first Daily Mail article, he came after me. He came after me on Twitter and he was criticising what I was wearing. He was criticising my dress, yeah.
It was quite traditional for you.
Was it?
Well, compared to this sort of, this is quite, it was a bit more traditional. Was it? I don't know what clothes look like anyway. I don't understand clothes.
I just wear what I want. I picked that dress. I liked it.
I think you look great.
Thank you. The shoes I hated though, because the shoes hurt my feet. Because as you've seen, like, I live in big boots and Converse trainers all the time, so I couldn't, you know.
Man, it's ironic that was the line, and he liked that song, and it's about what we what we look like, because this is another issue around the trans debate. What is a woman? And people are always asking, what is a woman? People don't seem to answer it, and I can't find any other answer other than long nails and long hair and being, you know, and if that's what women means to these people, I can't see anything else than misogyny.
It's super aggressive, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, and it's like, you know, the last time I played his stage at Glastonbury, you know, what he said to me was, he went, "Core, I wish I heard your voice and you full good looks." You know, that's what he said to me.
That's a bit creepy.
Yeah. Old creepy claws. So, you know, it's it was ridiculous, but you know, he put a target on my back, and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. I think he enjoys that. He does that a lot on Twitter, that kind of thing.
And it's always women.
Yeah. This is a guy with a problem with women.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. So he can't, you know, that's just my opinion. Kerrang said Louise Distras has the kind of voice that could charm the paint from a car. That's a compliment. It doesn't sound like one. Like a car, grab the paint away from the car. That sounds horrible. I encourage people to look up your music, because I think it sounds better. I think they were trying to compliment you.
Yeah.
But it feels like paint remover. Like WD-40 or something. You're getting all over the...
It'd have been good if they'd have just said flamethrower, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that'd have been cool.
Just any part of a car doesn't it doesn't make me feel... I don't know. You were talking about Big Pharma briefly. Is that part of this? Are there companies pushing puberty blockers, for example?
I don't know how to answer that question. I don't think I know enough about puberty blockers, really. It's like, what I think, like, for me, I can only talk from my experience that I've had. You know, so I tend to try and just stay in my lane, really. You know, which is about you know, my experiences as a woman and as a musician.
I think that's fair. Is it true you weren't paid for your first album?
Yeah, it is.
How does that happen?
Well, it was the record label that put it out in America.
Bastards.
They never paid me a penny for it.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting what goes on.
Well, they were involved in the smear campaign with the producer as well.
Yeah, of course.
And I was trying to get paid by them for years and years, and then what happened was they deleted me off their website as well when I said that a woman is an adult human female. So I saw that as a victory. I was like, crikey, for all these years I've been trying to get them to stop illegally selling me music and pay me the flipping money for me as well. And all I had to do was just say, a woman is an adult human female. and they just go, and I just disappear.
That's amazing. But it's also amazing that they think they've got the moral high ground. You've stated a scientific fact. Yeah. They've not paid an emerging artist. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm actually, my blood boils thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me, who is a heretic you admire? Or some rebel, some person, some influence you admire? And what can we learn from them?
Well, I think there's a few. There's more than one. It's really hard to pick.
Yeah. Because
all the musicians that I think are really cool are all absolute gobshites. They're all assholes, and they've all been they're all the black sheep.
Yeah.
Of the music industry. The proper artists. Like, I like Johnny Cash, Courtney Love, John Lennon, John Lydon, Bob Dylan, Liam Gallagher. I know there should be more women on that list. Chrissy Hind, she's really cool. Debbie Harry, Sinead O'Connor, and I often think to myself that, you know, in today's climate, none of those artists should stand a chance. Bob Dylan won't stand a chance nowadays. So
I think that's a great line to go out on.
Is it?
Yeah, I like that. None of them would stand a chance. Bob Dylan wouldn't stand a chance. And just okay. Oh no, but I've got to ask you actually. Where do you want to send people, like, check out your music and stuff?
Oh, do you know, there was one thing I actually wanted to talk about.
Go on.
I wanted to talk about the Turf is the New Punk.
Turf is the New Punk.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have worn my t-shirt really, but because I wanted to talk about how as part of the shutting down the debate, because I think that as women, I think that we've done nothing but try to open up conversation and debate, but we find ourselves that the doors have closed on us. We've been shut out, silenced at every opportunity, and one of the ways that they do that is by slurring us, you know, by calling us right wing or by calling us a TERF, which is, well, trans exclusionary, radical feminist, or tired of explaining reality to fuckwits. You know, there's loads of analogies for that. And it's really interesting because my understanding is that the word suffragette was actually a slur in the early 1900s.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was coined by the Daily Mail, actually. Yeah. But what the suffragettes did was they went, okay, you tell us that's a slur, but we're going to wear it as a badge of honour.
Yeah.
And that's what, and it's the same thing with TERF. You know, we are modern day suffragettes, and whatever names they call us, we'll turn it into a badge of honour. You know, so that's why I put TERF as the new punk on the t-shirt. You know,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's something I've thought about as well. Like, if your enemy is TERF, right? Everyone, like, the worst thing you can be in that particular ideology is a TERF, which means, okay, trans exclusionary, but it also means radical feminist. If your enemy is the feminist, I don't know how you can be on the progressive liberal side. Like, if your enemy is, like, Scientologists, their enemy is like Lord Xenu, a galactic overlord who murders billions of people. If your enemy is feminist, yeah, I think it's time to, I mean, it doesn't mean you're definitely wrong, but it means I think it's time to analyse. I
think there's a lot of women who I chat with, like, we don't even necessarily even consider ourselves feminist.
Yeah.
And we don't think that we need to have a degree in rad fem, like, academia, you know, to be able to figure out what's going on here. You know, most of these women are mums. It's mums that are fighting this, you know.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
They're worried about their children at schools and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not rocket science. You don't need a degree to be able to say that, you know, a man can't be a woman and a woman can't be a man. There's no such thing as non-binary. You know, that's what Kelly J. Keane says, you know.
I get her on.
Oh, yeah, yeah. She's fantastic, you know, so that's the thing I think that a lot of people forget, you know. So, yeah, we can call us all the names we want, you know, call me all the names under the sun. I'll just wear them as a badge of honour and stick them on a t-shirt.
Where do you want to send people?
I always just say, just stick my name, Louise Distras, put it into Google. Good, bad Google, it'll come up. All the filth and the fury. CDs, t-shirts, LPs, the lot.
Well, get all the stuff, everyone. Louise Distras, type her name in, get all of her stuff. Look at her, listen to her music. She's been wonderful and very courageous coming down here to come on. So do give her your time and have a look into stuff. Keep on watching this channel. I will put up one of my videos about gender critical stuff right here, and you better watch it.